I'll get the Oh, no, I'm sorry.
English only.
Oh, that's right. We're speaking in tongues tonight. Our discussion for tonight is speaking in tongues. There are churches out there. What they do is they get people to speak supposedly in another language, which is total garbage. Usually Pentecostal, because I know because I was involved in the Pentecostal church for a short time, that what they do is they speak gibberish and they think that's God speaking through them or angels speaking through them, and it's total garbage. Now we're gonna start the time at start our timer up right here. There we go, and we're gonna start off with Strife and your thoughts on speaking in tongues. Time starts now.
It's total bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much is the simplest way I could put it, because I know people who can actually speak in tongues, and
yeah, so could I.
Yeah, and pretty much it's more of a mimicking kind of thing, I guess. They're just mimicking what other people say, I guess, and their brain somehow jangles it up and just spew out nonsense like just random shit.
Yeah,
it's almost like
yeah. They put a person who claimed to speak in tongues in an MRI, and the brain. When you're in an MRI and you're speaking, certain parts of the brain light up. And when people would get in there and they pretend to speak in tongues, it was all over inside their brain, because even the brain knows what they're doing is total bullshit. Because there's like, this isn't language. It's not language. There is no speaking in tongues.
It's like your brain spazzing out.
Yeah, exactly. You might as well, just go and just flap your lips and just push air through them, because there's nothing there. Did you have any?
It's kind of like I don't want to make fun of a mental illness, but kind of like the person has Tourette's in a sense. They just spew out random shit.
Well, with Tourette's, actually, they're actually speaking real words most of the time. It's usually swear words.
I'm talking about the times when they don't speak real words.
Oh, okay, yeah. That'd be the language centers are scrambled in that instance. Yeah. Any Joe?
Oh, I keep forgetting we can just jump in at any time.
Go ahead, please.
Well, the definition of speaking in tongues again goes back to the Greek xenoglossy, and again it's just the Greek word xenoglossy broken down into foreign tongue, and the definition is the putative paranormal phenomenon in which a person is able to speak or write a language he or she could not have acquired by natural means.
Unfortunately, that's not possible. I mean, they've had people.
No, it's not possible.
Right.
The definition itself makes it not possible.
Right.
Even a person who speaks German fluently, but who is not a native German speaker, has never studied German, never been to Germany, never associated with German speakers or had any source of exposure to the German language, would said to exhibit xenoglossy. I don't see how that is possible.
Yeah, it's not. It's just gibberish, because when you're in a situation like that, you're being pressured, and I know this first-hand experience. They just say, "Oh, you just pretend." They said, "Just let it out. Just whatever comes to your mind, just let it go." And then then they will pressure you, and they will and if you're especially out in front of all these other people, you're just going to do anything just to make sure that everybody else make you think you're actually in the spirit, as it were. Joe,
was that an embarrassing?
It really was.
For you, Packard?
It was really embarrassing. But the thing is, these people they're so deluded. They think it's real. They think it's real, and they don't think anything of it. I might as well just gotten up there and read the newspaper, And I was reading a comment on one site that said, if you go to a church, if you have the gumption to do this, go to a church and just write down a set of words that you're going to say, and just say them in another language that you figure that no one else is going to do, or know for that matter, and and then carry a tape recorder and record it, and then they say, well, go back to them and say, well, they'll think you're speaking in tongues or whatever, and Russian's really good for that too. I imagine do that in Russian. And then they say, "Oh no, these are the words I was saying," and say, "Oh, well, what they were they?" And they say, "You just repeat them, and you play back the recording and say, here, see, this is what it was." And so you're just playing it's a great practical joke. Joe, what are your thoughts on speaking in?
That's a shopping list.
No, that was my grocery list from last week.
Yeah, I had heard of it. I never saw it until recently. I looked it up on YouTube and I was blown away. I was like watching these people doing it. I saw a minister doing it, and I was just like, whoa, that is some batshit crazy stuff going on there.
It is.
And I was talking to a theist. This was probably over a year ago on Twitter, and he was like making some point, and I said, well, that's as ridiculous as speaking in tongues, and he suddenly got very defensive of it and was like, well, that's the language of the angels.
Yeah, that's what they often say. Yeah.
Oh, jeez. So before this show, I went and looked on YouTube again, and I found a video where they're actually quoting all these verses in the Bible. Like there's one in 1 Corinthians somewhere where it says like you will pray in tongues and pray, and it actually uses that kind of language, which is like I guess where they base it on, where they get that from.
Yeah,
but
Corinthians 4 something, as I recall.
It's pretty much only the Episcopalians that do it. Am I correct? Because I know the Baptists are kind of mad at them because they do that.
The Baptists they take a whole other stance against speaking in tongues.
The Baptists are more into the blood of Jesus and being saved by saying a few words, whereas the Episcopalians are like, oh no, that's not the way. You have to speak in tongues. And they don't like each other because of that contention.
And then then at the end of the day, they all go to the chicken joint and they eat fried chicken and waffles. Hey,
Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
and complain about the gay people.
Yeah,
sounds so French.
Yeah, because the Baptists will think that the Pentecostals are speaking when they speak in tongues. That they're actually the devil is speaking through them.
Yes. Yes,
could it be
something
that
the video
when
I watched was mentioning. It said that they get criticized a lot.
You need your tongue to speak, in a sense, because don't you need your tongue to do vowels and stuff?
Vowels, these little things in between the letters,
Unless you're manipulating your tongue when you're doing that.
Unless you're from Russia, then there are no vowels in your name. It's all consonants.
All consonants. Poor Russians. They always get capped on.
Yes. Well, they do have a very weird language, but
no
offense to anybody over in Russia.
It's backwards English.
Yeah, it's
backwards English.
Especially the R's are backwards.
It's kind of like
the N's are backwards also. I think it is.
It's Klingon in reverse.
It's easier Klingon. Well, no, it's harder Klingon. Klingon is easier than Russian.
It's Klingon for dummies.
Yeah. Klingon for dummies.
I'm sorry.
And that is our time. Oh, this has been a good topic. We should maybe come back to this again sometime. But speaking in tongues, no, sorry. If you think that you're speaking in tongues, you're fooling yourself, because there's nothing to it. Anybody can do it. There's actually an atheist out there who used to be a preacher, a Baptist preacher, and he still does it once a year or so. And I've heard him actually do it on a podcast. And he's an atheist, and I just did it myself, and I'm an atheist. So if you think speaking in tongues is God talking through you or angels talking through you, the only person that's talking through you is your ass. Or you're talking through your hat, whichever one you think is the more appropriate for you.